Welcome to Pauley Pavilion on the campus of UCLA, the number 3 team in the land. It's FS1 College Hoops as the UCLA Bruins take on the Washington Huskies. Hi everyone, welcome to Pauley Pavilion. Courtside, Jim Jackson is here, and I'm Kevin Burkhardt. So right off the top here, UCLA's red hot. They won 7 in a row. They're the third best team, third ranked team in the country, facing a Washington team without their best player, Markelle Fultz. Mindset-wise now, how do you stay up? How do they stay ready?
Well, it's a test for this UCLA team. You're playing for something bigger. Their defense has carried them the last 7 games in regards to getting better. With the best player not there, let's see how their focus is early on. Do they slack back, or do they continue to make progress on the defensive end?
Yeah, and that defensive progress is really evident in the win over Arizona. 3-2 zone. That zone has really been effective for them, and they've gotten better as the years gone on.
But also the key to that zone, Kevin, they're rebounding a lot better out of the zone where you may have gaps, but they trust each other, and coaches know if there's a flaw in the defense, we need to switch things up. So great job by Steve Alford and the staff.
That's for sure. Meanwhile, Lonzo Ball, this is the straw that serves the drink for UCLA. Maybe the player of the year in the country, the freshman, has been simply tremendous, leading the country in assists.
Well, it's the reason why this place has been sold out all year.
Yeah.
Okay, because of Lonzo Ball and what he's been able to bring to the table. You trust him, great decision making, the stability at the point guard position, but the unselfish play of a superstar, I think, just permeates throughout the team, and that's why this is such a tough UCLA team to stop offensively, because it starts with Lonzo Ball.
It sure does. I mean, their offense is loaded, obviously. I mean, leading the country in field goal percentage, in points, in assists. You go down the line. But maybe an underappreciated guy, another freshman, TJ Leaf, who actually leads them in scoring.
Well, it may be better because now he's not getting a lot of the limelight. A lot of expectations are not there. Last week in 2 games, 18 points, 8 rebounds, shot 66% from the field. And sometimes it's better to be Robin, in this case with TJ Leaf, than Batman.
Well, that's for sure. There are a lot of Robins on this team. They are loaded. They can score. You see the introductions here in Westwood. And one thing we were talking about before is Bryce Alford. You know, he's been the point guard the last couple of years. Now this year bumps off to the 2, and he's very quietly had an excellent season.
Probably the best beneficiary of Lonzo Ball coming in is Alford moving to his natural position. Now he can take the thought process out of running the offense and making plays. He can do what he does best, which is knock down jump shots, get to the basket. So for him, it's allowed him to be who he is, which is a volume shooter, but also a scorer.
Oh, he likes to shoot, but he can shoot from downtown. We got a packed house here at Pauley Pavilion. It's number 3, UCLA, taking on Washington, Pac-12 action. You know, we have quite the crew announcing, too. Courtside, Tim Brando, Steve Lavin, and Jim Go. You're joining them. Get out of here. Timmy, take it away.
Thank you so much, Kevin. All of this versatility with a Cape Crusader alongside. We're going to be sharing a lot of sugar tonight.
We're going to see how fast Jim Jackson is coming over here as well, see if he still has his foot speed.
Given that, I think that does work, your metaphor, with this team, because I don't know of a ball club that shares the ball any better than UCLA, and it does begin with the freshman sensation, Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, it's as entertaining a brand of basketball as there is in the country right now. High octane, 6 players in double figures, and oh, by the way, their 7th man, Ani Bogu, has an upside that's as good as it gets in terms of a rim protector and someone that gives UCLA a real presence in the lane.
Here's the starting lineups for both teams. Crisp, Johnson, Thibault, Noah Dickerson. Interesting story on him. He left his jersey at the hotel in Culver City. They had to run and get it for him to be able to go tonight. Sam Timmons also there. So obviously some Uber driver was working overtime for the Huskies tonight to get Dickerson taken care of. And as was touched on just a few moments ago by Jimmy Jackson, listen, Leaf is an outstanding scorer, no question about that. But the thing that impresses me most, and I was at yesterday's practice, is how crisp this team is passing the ball. It's very rare that you see even a risky pass not thrown with pinpoint precision from this guy right here, as the opening tap is controlled to UCLA. Hamilton gets a nice pick and works over it.
Great way to start the game if you're UCLA. Offensively and now with the big block on the defensive end. That's where I have my eyes, guys, is seeing how intense this UCLA team would be defensively.
Our officials, veteran crew, Randy McCall, Mike Reed, and Michael Greenstein tonight. It's hard for me to believe that Bryce Alford has been here as long as he has and is setting the records that he already has, and he's adding to them now with yet another 3-ball.
Looks just like his father there, working without the basketball, coming off a screen and able to catch and shoot. Got that quick trigger. Beautiful stroke from distance.
Boy, you talk about scouting report difficulty come March in the tournament. You got 6 guys in double figures. You've only got 1 day to prepare from one round to the next, weekend to weekend. They will be a root canal to get ready for as you see a turnover on this end of the floor.
And Tim, it goes back to what you said about the unselfish play. They really do enjoy passing the basketball, allowing their teammates to have success.
Get ready. Toby Bailey's mark at 6. He could be passing him soon. Already 2 threes and an 8-0 shutout. And just over a minute gone by, and Lorenzo Romar with a shock treatment TO. Around the country, you hear about the Pac-12 and you hear 2 words, top heavy. And that's true. But Steve Alford, now in year number 4, is coming off a 7-0 month of February. That hasn't happened, Lav, since you and Lorenzo Romar and Mark Gottfried were on Herrick's staff the national championship season of '95.
A number of striking similarities between the '95 team and this year's version of the UCLA Bruins.
Ball with that unorthodox shot, but boy does he get lift, and is it spot on.
Listen, Arnold Palmer said perfect your swing.
Oh yeah.
Lonzo Ball is perfecting his jump shot for him.
Absolutely. They tinkered with it some. You know, some NBA scouts have talked about it. But the truth of the matter is, if it's not broken, why fix it? That's a trip. In the open court, Thibault got him number 4, and he'll be tagged with the foul. UCLA already 4 possessions and 11 points.
Well, what stands out when you watch UCLA, I've had them 7 times this year, and you sit courtside, and there's an ease that they play the game with, a fluidity. They're tied together, they're cohesive, but the offensive end of the floor is so impressive in terms of firepower.
Chris can't get it to go. They need him to shoot well tonight to be at all competitive. Markelle Fultz not able to go. He's had a knee problem the last 5 games, in and out of the lineup, as you see the first one for Carlos Johnson. Some freshman this kid is, out of the state of Illinois. And a rebound brought in by Noah Dickerson. Crisp. That one goes crying off the front rim. Ball with a quick outlet to Alford. Look at them in transition. Leaf using the glass.
And Coach, you understand this. That time, Bryce Alford, when to give the ball up, when not to. He trusts a TJ Leaf. You give it to him, he can make a play. Gave it up early, now able to get an easy goal to the basket.
And how about the hockey assist from Lonzo Ball to kick it up the floor to Alford? And again, pass is faster than the bounce when advancing it in transition. And nice sideline break by the Bruins.
And it's not as if he doesn't take risks, Steve. He does. But his risky passes are still on point. Thibault with a nice turnaround. Matisse Thibault from Issaquah, Washington, Eastside Catholic.
Named after the artist.
Yes.
Matisse.
Henry Matisse.
One of your favorites.
That's right.
Why not one
And Chateau Brando. I know there's a couple of those on the walls.
I am a man of the arts. You're right. That one does not go for TJ Leaf. Thibault again, pulling the trigger quickly, and Leaf with the rebound. The thing they've got to worry about, Washington, is taking quick shots like that, because all that does is increase the opportunities for this becoming a really high possession game. That's what Lorenzo was talking to us about earlier today at their shoot-around. Just make sure you rotate the ball a little.
Yeah, quick shots and turnovers basically serve as outlet passes for UCLA to get out in transition so quickly. Dickerson down low, able to find daylight for the interior finish.
They'll be building around this young man, Dickerson. Hamilton can't get that one to go, and the rebound cleared by Timmons. He's just a sophomore, and the cavalry is coming in Seattle for Washington with all the issues they've had, and the one-and-done player Fultz injured the last half of the the #3 recruiting class for next season. One of the best classes in the history of the school. Alford for his 3rd three, and that one's off the back iron. Save to him, and you don't want that again. And we've got an injured Bruin on the other end of the floor, down around the baseline. That's TJ Leaf. And the trainer's out to take a quick look at him. Need a knee, perhaps, or in the lower extremities. Uh-oh. We'll check on him and be back right after this. TJ Leaf moments ago with some assistants heading back to the locker room, and upon further review, it was one of those moments where he just came down awkwardly on his ankle, right, Jim?
Yeah, I've been here before. A lot of players, you go up in the air, you leave your feet, and unfortunately, what you come down on is either your teammates or opposing teams' foot, and that's what happened with TJ Leaf right there. And there's really nothing you can do to prevent that. Hopefully, it's a ankle sprain that's a quick twitch that he can recover from. Is nothing long term.
Yep.
I've been there. It put me out for a while.
Yeah, he's the leading scorer. This guy's averaging 16.8 a game. There's so many outstanding options for this Bruins team offensively. But it will be noteworthy that he's out of the game. There's a rejection underneath. Bogu is in the game, and he is very tough defensively, #13. And we've got a foul spotted by Mike Reed down along the baseline. That'll go against Lonzo Ball, his first.
In terms of quality depth, UCLA 7 deep. They can go 8, but they can't afford to lose a player like TJ Leaf because his ability to influence the game at both ends of the floor in a positive manner.
Yeah, he normally gets the ball around the elbow and good things happen, and there is another answer from Thibault. He was a starter in every game as a freshman last year for Lorenzo Romar. His three-point accuracy was second only to Andrew Andrews, whose leadership they've really missed this season. Inside, and that turnaround is a thing of beauty by Gigi Golemar.
Golemar that time patient, understood that it was one-on-one coverage, didn't rush the situation.
Young man from Hungary has really come on strong. There's another pinpoint pass to Alford. Just a thing of beauty how Ball can make that kind of pass, and it's right where the shooter needs it.
But Coach, it was right where he started, when he gave the ball up, got it back, dribble penetrated, and didn't look for another pass.
That's the thing that separates him. Thibault puts it in, and a lot of comparisons have been made, Jimmy, and you played and know Jason Kidd's game as well as anybody. And I think that's probably the comparison that works the most, although I would suggest that he's a better shooter than Jason was when he played at Cal.
Well, he's not as reluctant to shoot from the perimeter.
Right.
You see Alford not reluctant to shoot at all, but his impact on how he approaches the game, but how his teammates respond to him, and how he makes everybody's better. That to me is where the similarities are at.
Hammer time right in front of Bogu, and the foul spotted. An easy one to whistle as Carlos Johnson, who plays strong, took it right at EK here.
Bogu, a player with each practice and each game opportunity, continues to blossom and played his best basketball in some of UCLA's most significant wins at Kentucky, the Oregon Fast and Furious comeback, the victory over the Ducks here in Poly Pavilion. When they get into the NCAA tournament, Bogu's presence, in particular the resistance on the defensive end of the floor, will be vital if UCLA wants to run deep in the tournament.
And a reminder, you know, he had that meniscus problem, missed the first 5 games. His development is probably forgotten by a lot of people because there's so many storylines with this UCLA team. Alford off the bounce with a nice delivery to Bogu. And a rare miss in the painted area. Timmons the rebound. And Dan Kingma, the junior from Mill Creek, Washington, into the game for the first time. #2 in purple. Nice pass everything but the finish there. Malik Dime got a dime and could not finish it. Holiday, and that's a block. No, wave it off. That's going to be a charge. Player control. It'll go the other way. And Lorenzo Romar excited to see that, as Holiday will be guilty of the player control foul here.
Always tough in transition to get your feet set, but Kingma kind of smelled out the play was coming, got his feet set. Fortunately for both players, no one was hurt on the collision.
Romar loves seeing that from his young guys. There's a steal by Goleman. And probably a pretty good foul given up by Thibault there. It would have been a dunk. Second on Matisse. And there's Lorenzo. He's been there now 15 years. And obviously had spent time at Pepperdine. And I recall when he started his career as a head coach at St. Louis, he got the Billikens off and rolling. And now he's been in the league a long, long time.
He's the veteran of Pac-12, the dean.
And there's Markelle Fultz, who has been as engaged as any player that can't play could possibly be. And they're not giving up on him. They're hoping that perhaps he'll be able to go by Pac-12 tournament time.
But you don't want to, Coach, even in that situation, you don't want to rush the injury. You don't want to put the young man in a situation where it gets worse. And I think a lot of times you have to save a young player to steal from himself if you want to play in a big game like this.
You can't risk the long-term or future health. Great look inside.
And one. EK. And that was a beautiful feed inside, too. Malik Dime will pick up the foul. Job well done. A laser-like pass from Alford. The hoop, the harm at Pauley. And the band played on here at Pauley Pavilion to close out our night of college basketball on FS1 with Steve Lavin and Jim Jackson. Tim Brando, happy to have you with us. And yeah, the stars have come out. Lakers head coach Luke Walton in attendance. No word as yet on whether he's talked to Mr. Ball. There's D'Angelo Russell. The Lakers guard is on hand tonight, and we have to take care of Jim Jackson and get fellow Buckeyes in whenever we can.
Ohio State University. Also D'Angelo.
Yeah.
Ohio State, just saying. Well represented in the Pauley Pavilion tonight. That's all I'm saying. That's it.
Got a chance during the tour I took of the Fox lot today to see Chris on the Speak for Yourself set.
And he will do that.
Yeah.
He's going to give you what he thinks.
I think you had just left your tape segment. You're on all day, by the way. This guy's on all day.
Unbelievable.
Jackson,
it's the stamina. How did he do it?
Carlos Johnson can't get that one to go, and it's thrown away. Time right to ball numbers with Holiday. Good defensive sequence for Washington, though, to get back.
Now that one, Coach, I thought he should have kept the ball a little longer. But he got it back.
It's a Holiday, and Ball knew what to do with it.
Here's that three-quarter court, 1-2-2. They'll trap out of it opportunistically, give different looks. Of course, Lonzo Ball, the ability to hawk opponents with his defense. Well deployed there out top of that zone.
They need more of that from the youngster from Senegal, Malik Dime. It was a pretty good little pass that he got from Johnson.
Yeah, patient that time against the pressure. Allowed him to get that easy basket and shot.
Goleman. How smooth is that? And there was no help defensively. 29-16. Carlos Johnson can't connect, and Goleman retrieves it. Holiday with a little stutter step. Oh, finger roll. We're seeing a little bit of it all. And Romar has seen too much of it all. How about this? Take a look at this.
Lonzo Ball, give him a cape, fellas. Is it Batman, Superman? It's your call. Whatever it is, it's special.
He's a bad man. That's what he is.
Time out.
(31-16) our score during the timeout. We go inside the huddle and listen to Lorenzo Romar of Washington.
We need you to be a senior and step up. You posting up down there, that guy got around you, you step up, man up. Ball down there, dunk on their head. They get it down low, you don't give a position, you throw that thing in the stands. We need you to do that.
One can only hope if it connected.
Trying to fire up the troops. Want those Huskies to start barking.
And when you've lost this many consecutively, it really, you begin coaching a different way, don't you? You really do.
Well, and when a Fultz goes out with an injury, it's one of those Murphy's Law type situations.
Right.
Whatever can go wrong continues to go wrong. But Lorenzo Romar's had success at every stop, clearly. A good basketball coach. They've just come on very tough times. They've been hurt because they've recruited so well, Jimmy. Players have gone on to the NBA as underclassmen, leaving behind that difficult void to fill.
Therein lies the conundrum. And I talked to Lorenzo a little bit about it, Jimmy. The good news for them is that we'll have a few juniors and seniors coming back next year with this team to go along with those 3 really big recruits. And obviously, Michael Porter, his one of the assistants, his son, is the premier talent that's going to be coming in. You got to have some veteran players to go along with it. But that's the difficult part, is we see a near 10-second call, but a bailout foul by Ball will keep that 10-second call from taking place.
Well, it's the unexpected, I think, departure of players that you're not ready for, that catches you off guard. You see right here, just a little bit too much contact. And that's what happened with this Washington team. And the key is that when you go through a losing streak like this, do you coach X's and O's, or are you coaching more the mental part of young men to continue to play through it?
And they were very close to making the NCAAs for the first time in 5 years a season ago. They lost a couple of players, Lab, that I don't think they anticipated losing to the draft, who have done very well in the NBA. But I think that's part of it too, isn't it?
We don't even have to look any further than their opponent tonight, UCLA. A year ago, not in the NCAA tournament. Coach Alford on the hot seat. People flying banners through Southern California to fire Steve Alford. And you get 3 recruits with Ani Bogu, Ball, and Leaf combined with the veteran players, and all of a sudden you're contending for a national title. So sometimes success is not as far away as it looks, particularly when you're bringing in the level of class and talent that Washington is next year.
And by the way, speaking of Steve, it's not as if he fell off a turnip truck. The guy can coach, but it's amazing what 1 or 2 great players can do for your reputation as a bench coach.
Great players take you to great heights.
Yeah. Washington with 3 turnovers in their last 3 trips. And UCLA, when that guy gets it on the wing, I don't know if there's a better baseline extended jump shooter than Thomas Welsh. He is just automatic, it seems. And another turnover by the Huskies. Hamilton the run out.
The difficulty you face if you're Washington is that you can't get it all back in one possession, so you begin to press a little bit. As they score, you don't score, you turn it over. Now you're pressing yourself, and you get yourself into trouble when you turn the basketball over and give UCLA easy opportunity.
Another turnover. Well, that's like hands of Velcro by Hamilton. 5 turnovers the last 5 trips. And that banker will not go, and it's pulled down by Dickerson. Crisp with a little floater teardrop that goes. And that ends the drought for the Huskies.
And Crisp capable of getting the hot hand. He's a streaky shooter.
And the iron finally unkind to UCLA. Crisp, too strong, can't get it to go.
What a luxury for Steve Alford when you've got Holiday coming off the bench, the best 6th man in the Pac-12, if not the country. The starter last year's accepted the role this year to be the spark or the catalyst off the bench.
Well, stop the presses because he never misses that shot. Welsh finally misses one baseline there.
It's as close to a can of corn or automatic or one of those phrases for
the sun rising.
That's what's going to happen. Taxes.
Alford. Smallest man on the floor. Kingman comes down with the rebound, number 2.
I wouldn't would say as guaranteed as it not raining in Southern California, but we saw it last month. That ain't the case.
And we needed it.
By the way, you notice when I came to town, the sun came out. Just thought I'd point that out.
Is that right?
Yeah. You guys were having mudslides before.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. Okay. We might have an earthquake while you're still here, too.
I always knew Tim Brando was a celebrity, iconic, legendary, but the last 24 hours with him, my respect has gone up a notch or two. This man is like red carpet wherever we go. People want autographs. He's gangster.
No, but did he pay for anything yesterday? That's my question.
No. He's been on full scholarship.
Okay, there it is. There it is.
Hamilton finds Alford as the play-by-play guy tries to get back to the game. I didn't want my pocketbook to be discussed, but that's okay. 40-20 with 6 and change remaining here in the opening half. And by the way, TJ Leaf does have an ankle sprain, will not return as Thibault drills the tray to make it 40-23.
And the question is, with that injury, what grade is it and how long will it take to heal? Because, as you know, Pac-12 championship is coming up, then the tournament. Always tough to have an injury at this late part of the season because you just don't have the time to heal.
Little jump hook by Welsh, can't get it to go. That was pretty well defended by Timmons. Made that shot more difficult than Welsh would have liked. This kid's played strong, played hard all year long. Noah Dickerson, the sophomore from Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, nifty footwork there along the baseline. Able to navigate, get to the other side of the rim, use his body to shield the ball from the defender, and a nice finish as well.
Washington's cut into the lead at 20, got it to 15. And now Alford with a tough shot. Linked at the floor, Dickerson again, and that's a reach-in against Goleman. Well, the Huskies trying to make it manageable before the intermission. But the Bruins are more than gritty or gutty. You know, they used to call them gutty or gritty, but they are number 3 in the country. Bruins have hit a bit of a lull, hitting only one of their last 8 shots. The lead down to 15 with 5:10 remaining in the half. Now the biggest conference tournament in college basketball returns to FS1. Defending national champion and number 2 ranked Villanova looks to earn a number 1 seed in the NCAAs, while a number of top teams try to fight their way into March Madness. The Big East Tournament live from Madison Square Garden. It starts next Wednesday only on FS1. Our bracketologist, Stuart Mandel at FoxSports.com, has this projected top 4 number 1 seeds. What are your thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Difficult to argue. Louisville, again, you know, someone that deserves strong consideration, and so much will play out during championship week, the conference tournaments. You could move up or you could move down, so very fluid situation, Tim Brando.
I would think, as hot as UCLA is, if they were to run the table and maybe Gonzaga drop it to St. Mary's in the West Coast Conference Tournament, then maybe they could get a number 1 seed. What say you to that?
How about another ACC team?
Yeah, here are the Pac-12 seeds as seen by Stuart Mandel. You could have potentially 3 on the same line from the same conference. That would be rare.
2s are wild.
Yeah.
Out west, Pac-12, the wacky west.
Well, I think the key with the Western teams are to move up, to be close region-wise to where you're at, to where you're located. That's why being a number 1 is always the best. Travel. It'll be interesting to see once conference play starts how this thing shakes out.
Crisp from downtown. And Bogu down on the deck. Watch that ankle as he goes down, tied up, particularly after what happened to TJ Leaf, who will not play for the rest of tonight's game. And you see he gets up a little gingerly there.
Always the hardest part when you're up 15 early, you kind of get everything that you want. It comes easy. When it becomes too easy, you lose mental focus defensively, offensively. You start to do some things you're not comfortable with. So let's see the maturity aspect, I think, of this UCLA team, knowing that they can dominate anytime they want against Washington.
You know what, Lab? They really turned their game around after the USC loss. That teardrop it's nothing but air. But it was at that point Steve Alford decided to start playing some zone and make the decision. Ball gets it up into the air. I think they're going to get basket interference on Bogu. That was meant as a pass to him, and the ball drifted into the cylinder, and it is, I think, accurately called offensive goaltending. See, the ball is in the cylinder.
I don't know. I think he was still up.
Bogu looked guilty.
He looked guilty. Well, he looked guilty of putting it in, but I still think he had enough room to where that basket, in my opinion, should have been scored.
Well, looked like he caught it and guided it towards the rim.
If he doesn't touch it, it goes in. It's a Lonzo Ball hoop. Crisp on the wing.
A little inconclusive. We'd have to see different angles.
That's right. Get to the replay booth.
Well, it's only a couple hours show here. Hamilton. Halfway down the cylinder and out, and a foul spotted underneath. I think Dickerson gets it. We'll take a look at it during the timeout, okay?
Sure, a little 12 angry men here. We have to remain objective about this.
I say it's a good call.
No, disagree.
All weigh in after the break. Tiebreaker.
Welcome back to Pauley Pavilion, where it's UCLA with a 15-point lead over Washington. I'm Kevin Burkhardt. Coming up at the break, I'll be joined by Jim Jackson. How about UCLA's hot shooting? We'll go there. Highlights from other games around country. Plenty to do. As Jim Jackson will step from there to here. For now, let's go back to Tim, Steve, and Jim courtside.
Kevin, I have an all-new respect for what you have to do.
What?
Complete.
He worked 2 or 3 minutes earlier today. What do you mean?
But he's with you guys almost every night.
He had the best job in the world. We did a little halftime of the first game, but the fill in between was all of 2.5 minutes.
We all have to pay our dues.
He wasted a suit and tie for that one.
We all have to pay our dues.
I was impressed with the polka dots.
You like that?
A bold move, right? You got to be really secure
and comfortable
with yourself.
What if they've been pink?
Then you're really bold. Then you really got swag.
When did Mr. Blackwell join this broadcast team? On the wing of 3-ball yet again. They're raining him tonight. That one from Isaac Hamilton out of St. John Bosco, senior from Los Angeles. 43-25.
Here those different zone looks. They'll trap the corners and the short corners well for steals.
And you know, it keeps them engaged, Steve. That's the thing I think that Steve was talking about. You know, changing defenses keeps them engaged.
Well, particularly with the millennials, right? The new millennium, attention deficit always a factor. Working those smartphones and distracted. So any way you can engage athletes and keep them on task, focused, and I think the traps, the three-quarter court pressure, that's a way to keep this Bruin team locked in.
See if they can get Thibault in position. He's been the warmest of the Huskies here in the first half. Timmons has played well. 7 rebounds, good pass to the interior there, and Dickerson is fouled. And we're in the bonus now, 1-1, as Bogu picks up his second.
And coaches understand the temperature of their team. I think Steve Alford and the coaching staff did an excellent job of recognizing that maybe playing a little bit more zone, allow the team to trust each other. But also you can have some issues in rebounding. But through February, they were plus 11 on the boards rebounding. So they bought into the zone defense, but also playing better help defense.
And by the way, the guy in between us never got enough credit for going to zones and junking it up a little bit with teams that were struggling. I remember, Lav, you came into North Carolina after a really tough December back in the early 2000s, and that's what you did. Capona had been hurt, and everybody remembers what a great player Jason was.
Well, you look at the success Jim Boeheim's had at Syracuse.
Yeah,
when you're in a zone, your bigs are deployed well at the rim, where they can protect the rim and rebound. Your guards are out front, so it starts your transition because they're in their lanes to go the other way. You foul less often, so your opponent's not at the free throw line. And in terms of game prep, nice stop and pop by Ball. Again, sharing the basketball in transition. As another turnover by the Huskies.
Yeah, Dime could not reel that one in, and yet another turnover for Washington. They've got a dozen to only 3 for UCLA. And the way they move the ball in the 94 foot style that they do. It's amazing to think that they only turned it over 3 times so far. That's a bump on Carlos Johnson against Alford.
You know one thing we don't say about Lonzo Ball, though, that he's a ball hog. Yeah. For a guy that is as effective with the basketball in his hand, he doesn't mind giving it up. He doesn't have to have the ball every possession. And I think that's a quality trait that a lot of young point guards need to understand, that his effectiveness is not built around always having the basketball, but his presence on the court forces you to be aware where he's at all the time.
And he's a bit of an anomaly in the sense that he makes it look easy, almost effortless, and yet he's the toughest competitor on the team. Alford off the heel, and it's run down by Goleman. Holiday, no one there. I mean, no one got in the paint to stop that from happening, and Lorenzo's got to be beside himself.
Well, in that possession, it looked like they're running away from Holiday. El Matador bullfighter defense. Really, he was escorted to the basket for that layup.
You hate to say checking out, but on that defensive sequence, Washington checked out. Holiday turns it over. Johnson on the other end, past Welsh, too strong, and Goleman the rebound.
Holiday's got to be stronger with that ball. Can't be asking for a whistle from the refs. You're going to play Virginia or someone like that in the NCAA tournament. Just got to get back on defense. No time for the body language.
That's a good one to pick out. You know, in terms of tough matchups, if you ever saw that one on the board, a team like Tony Bennett's against a team like UCLA.
The best defensive team in the country is Virginia.
Dickerson. Nice pass in there from Crisp, and it's 47-28.
Well, you can see the potential of this Husky team in spite of being in a drought in terms of wins and not having the success that Lorenzo Romar would like to have. There are some pieces here when you add that top recruiting class. Welsh, jump hook. You like that, it's old school. Nothing wrong, no, with an old school post move, a true low pivot move.
49-28. They'll hold it for the last shot, it appears. Or not. Thibault not there. Well, that was a mistake. Knocked away, it will stay to UCLA. I'm really surprised he launched that shot with 8 seconds left when you're trying to limit possessions. Dan Kingma checks back into the game, replacing Thibault.
Coach Alford going to take this opportunity, looking down the line for conference tournament as well as NCAA tournament, chance to call a timeout when you've got one or you lose it. Why not draw up a play that you can use down the line?
Well, we touched on it a little earlier, Steve. The top 3 teams in this league that have separated themselves and could all be on the same line. Of the 3, based on the way they like to play, who would, in your opinion, be the least affected by a potential tough matchup in the NCAA?
It's interesting. For different reasons, all 3 are capable of getting to the Final Four. The concern I have with Oregon is the depth in terms of not having the firepower after their first 4. UCLA has the best 7 as we take a look at these potential top 3 seeds. And UCLA, we talked about their top 7, but I think Arizona has the most balance in terms of depth, size, strength, skill, quickness, experience.
And relying on defense, too. Good defensive sequence there for Dime, stopping Holiday. And we've come to the intermission. The Bruins at home in Pauley, where they've been really hot all season long. 49-28 after this break. Jim will join Kevin Burkhardt here on site for the Fox College Hoops halftime report. The City of Angels. We're in Westwood, UCLA, with a 21-point lead over Washington here at halftime. Along with Steve Lavin and Jim Jackson. By the way, this is a non-talking part for you this segment, Jackson. We just saw you. Just sit there and enjoy
You're
it.
everywhere. You were popping popcorn in the concession stands. You were selling hot dogs. I mean,
your thoughts,
taking tickets.
Your thoughts on how do you handle a full cup of success if you're Steve Alford in the second half?
Well, I think it's all about habits. At this stage of the season, you want to continue to play the appropriate way in terms of your basketball habits because you're close to the postseason. So every practice, every game opportunity is really a chance to sharpen that axe, to fine-tune as you move towards the NCAA tournament.
I agree, Tim Barrado.
By the way, it will be Golemon that starts for Leaf in the second half. There you see the stats and the points off turnovers. I mean, it just shouts through the box and says that's the difference in the game. No question about it.
14 assists against only 4 turnovers. And they play at high speed. Sometimes when you play quicker, you're more prone to turnovers. Yet this team goes pedal to the metal, high octane, but still takes care of the basketball.
Well, they don't take chances, too. You know, solid passes.
Welsh, no double team coming. He read it and immediately won it with the jump hook in the painted area.
You know, also this UCLA has a good balance. They can drop it down to Welsh inside. Also, TJ Leaf, if they're not shooting the ball from the perimeter, well, they can get some interior scoring. A lot of teams that don't have that as a weapon.
High Bowl can't get that one to roll. Hamilton clears it.
They're also interchangeable parts on the perimeter. So you see an offensive foul on Golemon.
Yeah, he got him in the chops. He got Dickerson in the chops there.
But going back to that 1995 team, Jim Herrick crowning achievement of his career, the 11th national championship and the only national championship that wasn't won by John Wooden. But that team in 95 that went 32-1, they were only 7 deep. And similar to Holiday, Cameron Dollar came off the bench. Matter of fact, he led the Bruins to the national title when Tyus Edney went down with the injury.
Yep. There he is.
Bruins didn't miss a beat. One of the quickest guards and one of the best human beings that you'll ever meet.
I'll never forget that end-to-end play that kept Norm Stewart, one of the great coaches in the history of the game, to never make it to a Final Four.
Boise, Idaho.
Yeah, and by the way, you also worked with another one that was great, Gene Cady, that never went to a Final Four. I think a lot of times, Steve, people take it for granted. You know, there have been a lot of great guys. There's Dickerson with the follow off the rebound to make it 51-30. That was a great Missouri team that UCLA beat that day.
How about Marv Harshman, John Chaney?
At Washington.
Also never made it to the Final Four, yet they're Hall of Fame coaches.
Boy, ball with a beautiful sweeping move off the window. Crisp. That's a quick launch. And that's one of those that Lorenzo Romar did not want to see many of. He just enables this.
You know, and this is not anything that UCLA is doing to Washington in regards to clowning on the basketball, but this is the freedom in which they play with, the confidence in which they play with. That's why they're so effective, and they do make it look easy.
They do.
I think because Lonzo Ball enjoys the thrill of the pass, so it's had a contagious effect and permeated the entire team and really changed the culture of UCLA into a pass-first team.
Well, by now you've seen the numbers, what he does in assists, plus his ability to shoot the ball. I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. Since one time when the floor was not balanced, and after a turnover, Dickerson gets a slam. He's got 11, does Noah Dickerson, leading the Huskies at this stage.
I like the fact that at times Coach Alford takes ball and has him work without the basketball in his hands. We saw it on that lob dunk earlier.
Alford got a little assist from Dickerson that time. I think he actually deflected that one into the hoop.
Almost shot the ball flat-footed.
Speaking of the impact of Lonzo Ball, no one got more out of it than Bryce Alford, when you think about it. And his ability now to play off the ball, not have to shoulder that responsibility of leading the team and facilitating, as you see that rejection. 14 on the shot clock as they trigger it in.
Backside defense, not giving up on the play, attention to detail.
Crisp has really struggled with his shot. 1 of 11, yet another turnover. Hands of Velcro, ball to Alford. That's makes it 2. He's moving in on number 5.
Great to see Bryce Alford having fun on the floor. He went through some tough times last year. Being the son of a coach, no easy task. It's a good finish inside by Dickerson, a good delivery by Chris. But we saw that with Saul Smith, with Sean Sutton, working for coaches in a program where there's a lot of scrutiny. He was unfairly criticized by a lot of fans, but Bryce Alford really stayed the course and has had the right attitude, and he's having a fantastic season on a team that may win a national championship.
He is now 1 bucket away becoming number 5 on the all-time UCLA scoring list.
What I liked is he never got salty or angry, and if he did, he didn't let anyone see it. He handled himself with a lot of grace and dignity and class, and that bodes well for him.
How about that? He reached in to knock that one away for Ball.
I think the experience for him, and sometimes for a player, coach, you come out the other side going through, getting those scars and those wounds, a better player, more mature, lends a voice in the locker room when things get tough, which will bode well for this UCLA team when they go through some tough stretches, maybe Pac-12 tournament, NCAA tournament. So sometimes you got to go through the mud. Sometimes you go through the hurt, the pain, to figure out who you are and how you can help your teammates.
A crucible, in a sense, in terms of the adversity that really brought this team together. You had a coach that was under criticism. You had a son that was under criticism. And then Lonzo Ball showed up, and all of a sudden everything changed. And now we're talking national titles. What a difference a player makes.
(61-36), number 3 UCLA throttling the Huskies of Washington. Tim Rando, Steve Lavin, Jim Jackson, and there you see Bryce Alford's new location, now number 5, passing Toby Bailey. He had been in the 6th spot. He joins that is some group to be in touch with. All-time scoring leaders at UCLA. You know, he was ready for this. When I was in Albuquerque to do a game not long ago, I had an opportunity to chat with Steve about his son, and he said, you know, he spent a lot of time, he was playing high school at that time, and not maybe as highly regarded as a recruit as maybe some might think, but Dean Oliver, who was one of the first players that Steve had at Iowa, he wears number 20 for Dean. He was on the back of the bus on those trips. He was not only tutored by a great coach that played the game, but also with contemporaries, players that he looked up to. And I know Dean, who's now a coach at Illinois State, has got to be awfully proud that he dons the number 20 in his honor.
Well, there's some advantages to growing up in a basketball family where your father's a coach or an educator, a teacher, and you're around the game, learning.
Welsh affected that shot. Time with the offensive rebound, and Dickerson is fouled.
See, I think Coach Alford really set the tone with his example. The best leadership, the best teachers, the best parents are the ones that lead by example. And Coach Alford, when he came under heavy criticism and scrutiny, he maintained the even keel approach, and I think that permeated the rest of the team. So outstanding leadership by Coach Alford through adversity. And naturally his son followed suit.
Well, remember this, you know, he was the son of a coach. Steve was. His dad was a coach, and he was scrutinized as much as any player that Bob Knight had at Indiana. So he lived really 30 years ago the same story that Bryce is living now. So they followed a very similar path.
Absolutely. Sam Alford, legendary high school coach, Newcastle, sellout crowds, almost like a college basketball program, but on the high school level.
Absolutely. I knew him then, called some of his games, and I remember, I mean, if you're a guard at Indiana and you're a shooter running guys through screens like he did, everybody knows about you. Ball. Another laser-like pass right to the chest to give Goldman a good look. That one goes off the back iron. Tough night for David Crisp, the sophomore from Tacoma. They really needed him to be on. He's 2 of 13 from the floor.
Yeah, but gets a lot tougher as you see another good interior pass inside for Chris. Because when you lose a guy like Markelle Fultz, the way you change, play changes. You're accustomed to getting the ball in certain situations at certain times, and you can't duplicate or replicate that. Plus, the defense is going to lock into him. So as Chris, you can get more open looks.
Bogu was looking to put that one up, turned into a pass to Goleman, and there's a bailout foul underneath against Washington. Dickerson, by the way, that young man has 8 of the team's 10 points in this half. There's Markelle along the sidelines there. Malik Dime did pick up that foul, his second. And really wish that young man well. Hope he has a chance to play, because even though it's just 1 year, it's a year you want to be able to enjoy before it becomes a business. And another foul spotted underneath. Dominic Green, number 22, picked up the foul, and Goleman at the free throw line.
The Ball and Alford combined for 29 points, 9 assists, and 0 turnovers. That's efficient basketball, gaudy offensive numbers.
I know the concern for a lot of UCLA fans tonight will be about TJ Leaf. We discussed at halftime, and Jim, I think, accurately pointed out the severity of the sprain, and whether it's a high ankle or just a tweak of an ankle. That will be a concern in the next few days, but they have not missed a beat with Goleman and Bogu getting more playing time in this half. Hamilton, little duck under, playing the nylon song in the lane. And there's a steal by Ball. Oh, why not? Why not?
You know, and just something little here. Instead of Lonzo Ball, after he got the steal, forcing up a shot, he gave it up, relocated, got it back, and had a higher percentage shot, even though it was a jump shot. See, the intelligence side is something we got to talk a little bit more about with Lonzo Ball in regards to understanding the awareness on the court, when to shoot, when to pass, how to relocate. Some of those things are so instinctive. As a coach, you just try to hone those skills a lot more. You don't have to teach him because he already has that in his package.
Yeah, his basketball intellect is next level, almost chess, as opposed to the competition playing checkers, thinking 2 steps ahead.
But you know,
everything is with purpose.
Right.
Each bounce, every judgment he makes, there's nothing wasted in terms of over dribbling. He delivers it, as you said earlier, right where his teammates, and yet also shows good judgment on when to shoot, as well as set up his teammates.
But you know what? For the history of this game, fellas, whether it was Pistol Pete Maravich or it was Dean the Dream Miminger way back in the day, a lot of times guys that had that kind of acumen, that kind of basketball acumen, they would throw passes that would bounce off guys' heads because they weren't ready for it.
Rain in the 1960s. You got to bring it back to the 80s and 90s.
But we can Google it. We're going to Google later tonight.
Okay.
Over some grape juice.
We got an audience that may be more like 80s, 90s, 2000s. Okay.
But I'm with you. Al McGuire.
He had in 1970. He and Maravich played against one another in the NIT.
And a New Yorker, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly. Nice twisted move and a rejection by Goleman again.
Are you impressed with my sense of history?
I love it. Alley-oop. Ball. What a pass. What a pass. Instinct on top of intellect. And no quit. 32-point lead. He's just playing ball. All I want to do is play some ball. Well, young man, you can. And Timmons gets that one to roll through, and it's 72-42. Jason Kidd, from your era,
there we go,
was very much a player that I think at times his game was so good, some of his teammates at Cal weren't ready for the passes that he got.
No, he saw 2 or 3 steps ahead, a lot like Lonzo Ball. In some instincts, guys, you just can't teach. It's not about sometimes scoring the basketball, but how can I make my teammates better? Unselfish play is the reason why UCLA has a chance to win a title.
(72-42), UCLA running away from Washington. What a performance by Lonzo Ball, gentlemen. Now a new mark set for him in assists.
Well, again, the ease, look at the velocity, the delivery on time, never in a rush, keeps his poise. And as a result, this is a well-oiled UCLA offensive attack.
And by the way, Lonzo Ball, in case you were wondering, has now moved past Jason Kidd, and Gary Payton is next.
Well, you're talking about two Hall of Famers.
Unbelievable.
Very similar from the perspective of Jason Kidd. Long, lanky, athletic like Gary Payton. Defensively, Gary was a ball hawk. That's the next level for Lonzo Ball.
Yep.
Once you get to the next level in the NBA.
Hamilton. By the way, Lonzo Ball has not had a game so far without a turnover. He has none tonight.
I go back to the best 7 in the country, clearly UCLA. There are teams with more depth, teams that maybe are stronger up front, teams with exceptional guards. Got to keep playing this young gun.
Yeah.
More minutes, more reps he gets, Sweet 16 and beyond. They're going to need him at the rim.
Long arms, athletic, still learning, but has a good sense and feel of the game.
Already projected a top 20, and that's even with the injuries and the fact that he's young and still getting a feel.
Right, and these are important minutes for him right now because you know how players are in regards to confidence. When they feel good, like they can compete and play, they play like that. And when you get into stretches where foul trouble becomes an issue for UCLA, now you feel confident, coaching staff, but also his teammates, that he'll be able to come in and fill that void.
He gives them a greater margin for error, and they're already playing with an amazing margin for error. But when you add him into the mix, and we saw that in the Kentucky game and the comeback against Oregon.
Listen, there's already been a lot of conversation because his father's made some headlines, and I'm not sure if, and I'm still trying to figure it out. I sort of think based on the quotes I've seen, he's somewhere between Marv Marinovich and Earl Woods. I think more like Earl Woods than Marinovich. But I think that being a publicist or a promoter for your son is fine. He's got more coming. And clearly the work ethic that this young man has is incredible. And while there's all this conversation because of where he plays and where he may play at the next level, for the next few weeks, may we just enjoy Lonzo Ball's time in college basketball. Let's enjoy it because it's fleeting. And right now, I've got to tell you, I think he's the best player I've seen. And I've seen a lot of great ones this year.
Hard to argue.
I mean, he has now had to walk back some of what he said on the Tucson radio station before the Arizona game. And I have not had the honor to chat with him yet. I wish I could have before the game tonight. But what I see is a very proud father that plays the role of publicist and public relations for his kid. And that strikes me a little bit like Earl Woods in Tiger's early days as a golfer. There's Alford again. Do you like that analogy or no?
Well, yeah, and I'll try to stay away from because the relationship that they have evidently is not affecting from the bar speaking in regards to on the court for Lonzo Ball's play.
Absolutely.
And he's a cheerleader. He loves his son, but also he's smart. From a marketing perspective, he's trying to put his son in the right position to be as successful on and off the court once he gets to the next level.
Dime with a putback. It's 80-45. Yeah, that's how I view it. And I've heard and been around a lot of daddy dearest stories in my day. I don't see that right now. That's not my perception at all.
But here's the thing. Is he putting pressure on his son? Is he yelling out here? Is he screaming? Is he going to the coach? See, that's the difference.
Exactly.
When you have that extreme, then you would have an argument for me, but I don't see that.
Nor do I. I agree. And you coached, I know, in situations where you had situations, and every family you deal with is unique.
Yeah, and there's no parent that's going to be objective about their son's talent.
Trust me.
That's just across the board, universal. It's unconditional love. It's coming from a good place. But naturally, a parent is going to think that their son is the best in their town, in their state, in their region of the country, or for that matter, in the world.
I think a lot of times we unfairly label players about what their instincts are, what their intentions are when they're automatically thought of as one and done. And say what you want about that aspect of the college game and its impact at the next level. That's not fair to the young man. It really isn't. Welsh not there, and Dime collects the rebound. Welsh with a good defensive play to knock it away from Timmons. Timeout at Pauley Pavilion. A proud tradition reborn. UCLA leads. Kick off your weekend with Major League Soccer on FS1 as we bring you two exciting matchups. The Portland Timbers take on Minnesota United Friday at 9:30 Eastern. Then Sunday at 7:30 Eastern, Atlanta United faces the New York Red Bulls. That's Major League Soccer this weekend on FS1. A look at our game summary. Markel Fultz did not play. It's been the case now for well over a couple of weeks. Ball security has certainly been an issue. TJ Leaf left the game with an ankle sprain, has not returned. Lonzo Ball putting on yet another show on his way to what could be and likely will be a triple-double. Tim Brando, Steve Lavin, Jim Jackson, Kevin Burkhardt hosting duties tonight for him.
Night hosting duties.
By the way, thinking of soccer, I should mention Rob Stone, who's I think probably the workaholic of the place. I hope he's resting tonight and enjoying himself. Man for all seasons here.
Little hustle right there. Hamilton knows that. Not able to keep his Holiday, not able to keep his feet.
And these two met earlier this year. Fultz did play at 25 points, but they were blown out in Seattle as well. UCLA is just playing post-USC with these defensive changes they've made. They're playing with purpose on both ends of the floor now. Alford, and he's fouled.
Imagine trying to prepare to play this UCLA team in terms of the pick the poison scenarios, because if you double in the post, they're going to get the ball back out, and they have so many shooters stretching defenses capable as marksmen from distance. If you play straight up, they have a number of players you can put in isolation, take advantage of matchups. You can invert, have the big step away, post up your guards. At the end of it, you know, maybe a team like Virginia that limits possessions, controls tempo, and plays very stingy defense. But UCLA will be a handful.
Can you imagine getting them as the second game of the weekend, no matter what weekend it is? You've only got a day to prepare.
Usually there's a weak spot, a chink in the armor, some dimension in those first 7 or 8 players.
Yeah.
But with UCLA, they all can pass, catch, play at high speeds, shoot the ball well, and because they're playing such a cohesive brand of basketball, they don't force shots. They look for the good shot.
My question would be the commitment. You see a travel right here. Unforced turnover. It would be the commitment on the defensive end when your shots are not falling, especially when you're in a neutral site, you're on the road, you're expected to win. What happens when things are not going right, that adversity part? That's when you can really rely on your defense to keep you in the game, create opportunities, and move forward. So that's what I want to look for once we get into the tournament with this UCLA team.
That foul goes against Batumba Baruti, the freshman.
Well, anyone that tries to outscore UCLA is going to find themselves
absolutely
with a loss.
And I think that's the difficult part for Lorenzo Romar right now. Let's face it, his style of play is 94 feet. He wants to get up and down the floor, play quick and play with pace. And now you ask your guys, well, no, you're not trying to, milk the clock. You're not trying to dig into the clock with a possession, but you just want the rotation of the ball. This team is really behind the 8 ball without their star player.
It's so difficult with Lonzo Ball to not have a number of puns when you're calling a basketball game. I marvel at your ability to navigate.
To stay away from it? Yeah. Dickerson gets that one to go.
Showing range, stepping away. The bright spot tonight for the Huskies.
He really has been. He's got 17 points tonight. Very active on the glass. He's played tough. He's played strong. even though he's outmanned and undersized, really, for the position he plays. Coleman took an extra step there.
And it'll be interesting, too, with the incoming freshman next year, combined with the leadership that you have now with some of your upperclassmen, how quickly that can meld together. Again, I think it starts from the point guard position. We talked about UCLA, but again, it was that point guard who kind of brought it all together. And so Washington has an opportunity to see if they can do the same next year with their incoming crop of guys.
And they've got some great ones in their local products. 2 of them are. And it all really began, as you see the foul inside, it all began with the Porter kid who committed to come in. And by the way, it was well documented. His father was hired from Missouri, Michael Porter. I actually got to know him when he played for Benny Dees at the University of New Orleans back in the late 80s.
Jim Brandenburg's former assistant, Benny Dees.
Yeah, and Benny went on to Wyoming after he left the University of New Orleans in favor for Art Tolis for a season, who was an assistant to Dale Brown, the LSU great. And after that, it was Tim Floyd that came in to coach and really made his name at that school. Porter, this kid, the father of this young commit that they've got coming into Washington, was the anchor really for the other 2 or 3 that are going to come with him. And they're likely to have these juniors and seniors back with them. This could be a formidable team next season.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. You saw the changeover, as you mentioned, the makeover for UCLA. Just like that, we could see much the same for Washington. You build in 1-year increments in college basketball today. Alford! Boy, he shot that one from Brentwood.
The Emerald City green light.
Woo. 6 of 11 from downtown for him. And the bank is open late in Westwood on that one. Knocked in by David Crisp. Well, he's been crying for one to go down, and he got a little help from the window. Scorching and scintillating the Nets. Alford with 26 on 9 of 16 from the floor.
And one thing you teach a shooter, the quick trigger, get your feet set, squared, and release. And Bryce, as good as anybody, coming off a screen, can square those puppies up and let it fly.
The tough part right now for Lorenzo Romar watching this, they got 90 right now. They could get, Rudy can't get that one to go. The pace of play being the way it is, you don't want to surrender 115 or 120 points in college basketball. You just don't. And that's what he's looking at if this pace continues.
The student section, I know they get some sort of goodies when they hit 100.
Oh, yeah.
I forget if it's burgers, burritos,
Chick-fil-A,
Chick-fil-A, maybe.
Chick-fil-A.
Gummies.
I love Chick-fil-A. I eat all the gummies, just to let you know. You had some gummies earlier. Now
There's more of those.
Well, where are they at?
Trust me, I've got bags full of them.
Do you have them now?
Yes.
Okay, well, break
I'm
them out.
saving them for Hotel Bel Air.
What's going on there? Let me know.
You didn't know?
Oh, no, I didn't know.
Brando has another red carpet event that we have to go to. They're honoring, what is it, Daddy B?
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy.
You're not grandfather.
No,
you're
no,
not
just Big
grandpop.
Daddy.
No.
You're just, what's it called?
Big Daddy B.
Big Daddy B.
Yeah.
Can I bring my cigars?
Right out by the fireplace.
I'll see.
Better spot.
I'm there. Even though I already got the invite, I appreciate it. I'm coming. I'm there.
Bringing the whole team, the crew, the truck.
How to stay hip as a grandpa, that's me. Thigh ball at the free throw line.
It's impressive.
Do what you can.
Well, I don't know if hip is the word. He is OG, though. He's OG. But I don't know. OG hipster. I don't know if that fits the bill. OGO part is correct. Yes. Hip. Pretty cool. I'll go with pretty cool.
Well, that was very PC of them.
I'm just going to stay with gangster.
Anik Bogu. Short armed that one a little bit. Pulled down by Dickerson. Again, an example of how tough that kid's been all night tonight. Number 15 in purple. How about that look? How about that look? Beautifully done by Thibault on the roll.
14!
93 to 55. Alford's just, it's going up. He gets the pick and it's...
He's feeling it.
Oh, yeah, he is.
You see the finish line, senior year.
Yeah. it's in the pedigree. You know how to stroke it. And Bryce is right tonight in Los Angeles. There you see the Pac-12 standings. How strong this conference is. And you may see a few other teams make moves, but the separation of the top three, legitimate. And when you look at the profile for the Bruins, imagine that their worst loss, okay, was to a very talented and athletic USC team, as seen here on FS1.
That's a USC team that could play on the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. Imagine them as an 8 or a 9.
And it was at that game that Steve Alford said, you know what? We got caught chasing that night. We got to play some zone. And they made the changes in the aftermath of that and went on that 7-0 February run.
And the other two losses are at Oregon and Arizona, coming in to Pauley for the W, but they got that win back by going into McHale last weekend for a big W against the Wildcats.
See his assistants over there, Dwayne Broussard, David Grace, an outstanding recruiter, and Ed Schilling of Miami of Ohio fame.
And I'll tell you something that David Grace said. He said, with this team, because there's no egos involved, the way they all just appreciate each other.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to push and prod. They love to go to the gym. They don't hang out, smoke, drink. They don't do any of that stuff. They just love to play basketball, and they love to play with each other. And it's reflective how they play together on the court.
Well, when your best player is always coming up with competition during practice when things get a little boring, and that's what Lonzo Ball does, then that sets the tone, doesn't it? What a performance for him and for Bryce Alford. Standing O for those two men, and boy, do they deserve it tonight.
And Tim, I'll tell you this too. It's not always your best player, it's your most respected player that people tend to follow, because sometimes your best player may not be your best leader.
Yeah.
I think Bryce going through what he went through the last few years, recovering but not responding in a negative way, allows him to be that voice of reason at times with a talent like Lonzo Ball. Great compliment to each other for this team.
Well, you got to admire the way Dickerson has played. Boy, he played tough on both ends of the floor, really.
And consistent. He's brought that sustained level of effort, brought the hard hat, or the lunch pail, so to speak, blue collar.
16 of his 23 in this half. That's Golemon missing from point-blank range. But that's a little Moses Malone, I'll pad my stats sequence for him.
And well, the built-in excuse when you're getting blown out is not to play hard. Dickerson and the rest of his teammates shoot out. You'll get it wrong. They could have easily just kind of packed it in, but that's not the makeup of this Washington program. And when it's tough, but they continue to kind of fight through it.
I only saw a couple of sequences in the first half where I thought maybe they checked out a little bit defensively, but you're right. They sustained it and played hard throughout the rest of the way. Timeout. A lot of the complimentary players are coming off the bench now. You could say that this team has been uptown tonight in Westwood. Alford leading the way, 8 of 14 from downtown, putting on a highlight reel during the course of this one.
What we talked about, no one better than his father in terms of the quick trigger, the lock and load, the flexion in the wrist, gets the feet squared, good lift on that shot as well, working without the ball, using his teammates as screener to free himself up for that catch and shoot opportunity. Gets a well-deserved rest next to Corey Barnett, who played in Indiana for Coach Crean, a former Hoosier.
Just amazing. By the way, between Ball and Bryce Alford, 48 points, 12 assists, and 0 turnovers, okay? No turnovers committed to go along with that line for Lonzo Ball.
That's airtight efficiency.
Okwarbizia, Ikena Okwarbizia at the free throw line, number 34 for the first time. He's gotten some playing time recently, 24 minutes through the course of the year. Born in Lagos, Nigeria, moved to the United States in 2012. Only 17, boy, the backboard unkind there.
A little strong,
Yeah.
Tim Brando. an opportunity for the scrappers, the pepper pots, the walk-ons.
Pepper pots.
Pepper pots. I don't think I've heard that one
pepper
before.
pots.
Well, like Phil Garner.
Yeah.
He was a pepper pot. Scrapper deluxe.
Old scrap iron. You're going to pull him out.
Sure.
Greg Bowman, by the way, with the hoop and the harm. He'll get to the line. Scrappy young man that he is.
They deserve an opportunity to get a little burn, a little run in front of the students.
Absolutely.
The fans here at Poly Pavilion, they work hard every day.
Well, I always like to see over and under who's the first one to get the shot up. Who's going to be, you want to be unselfish, but I want to get a shot up too.
Absolutely.
Get a shot.
Even though coach is saying run our stuff,
Yeah, I'm gonna run
good habits.
There you go. Get it up. Take it.
Soon to be adopted by Jim Jackson. Gerald Smith had that one knocked away.
Take it again. Get to the bat right here.
Why not?
Listen,
It's your moment.
The lane was open. He just a little. You got to be a little bit more creative on the layup, but still, go for it.
You're on FS1.
Yeah.
Got a national audience watching.
We got Big Daddy.
Yeah, it's
Big Daddy B.
Big
calling
Daddy
the
B
game.
on the call.
On the call.
Iconic.
There you go. Right back to the rim again. Attacking the 10. Dobson. How about that?
He'll show his grandkids that someday.
Armani Dotson, the freshman from Fontana.
How do you go wrong with a name like Armani?
Woo! And a beautiful three drained from the wing by Quinn Bernard, the freshman from Bellevue, Washington.
That's an Armani suit you rocking too. I noticed. Right on time.
Spread the floor and attack the rack.
Shoot it.
Jimmy J.
Launch.
See, right now you
gotta
got
launch the
defense
rocket.
cover. You let the defense shoot it.
There it
There
is.
may be a pizza at stake here.
Big
They're going
fella's
to have
thirsty.
their opportunity at the free throw line.
We need 3 points. Now, this is, again, you don't want to. Washington at 63. This is all fun and jest in regards to the students getting the free
sensitive.
food. Be sensitive to that.
Sportsmanship. Yet, why not lock and load and launch a rocket?
Yeah. Quiet as kept. Can we get a piece of the Chick-fil-A too?
By the way,
Well, we better, because he's not buying it.
He's not buying.
So we're going to have to
He on
take
a
our
free
coupon
trip.
down there.
He's getting sponsored this trip.
needless to say, in the Final Four, Lavin will not be speaking at the ethics panel that I'll be emceeing there.
Sportsmanship. I'm like Billy Tubbs. Let's run it up.
Why not? Another three ball from downtown from Quinn Bernard. That young man getting his licks in.
Some disappointed students right now. They're not going to shoot. It's 98.
That's classy.
That's class. You don't
That's the way
shoot
to do
it.
it. And I said that in
I said
jest.
Tim-
Lorenzo Romo is like a brother to me, so
Well,
I don't wanna see him
Tim
go
should
through.
sponsor the students. What do you think?
No doubt. He's got a little post-game party here. He's got a tent outside. Big Daddy B in
Big
the
Daddy
house.
B. Spin that check, baby.
Let me just say, of all the games I've ever done, this was another one.
No hyperbole for us. You got it for everyone else but us. Your partners. Throw us under the bus.
Congratulations to the Bruins of UCLA. I think this team has all that you need to go to the Final Four. I really do. I'm impressed.
Yet we almost sound like Captain Obvious, but UCLA is really good.
But the health of TJ Leaf, what the severity of this ankle sprain is going to dictate to me what UCLA ultimately does in the tournament.
Tonight's game directed by Doug Freeman and produced by Chuck McDonald. For Jim Jackson, Steve Lavin, Kevin Burkhardt here on side as well. This is Tim Brando, a.k.a. Big Daddy B, saying so long from Pauley Pavilion. Once again, our final, UCLA 98, Washington 66. You've been watching Pac-12 Hoops on FS1.